Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to some more quick drafts of Theros Beyond Death. Our pick one, pack one here is going to be pretty easy. We get an exceptional rare Archon of Sun's Grace. 4 mana for a 3/4 flying lifelink is already a very good card in Limited, and the Constellation trigger on this card is insane. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, you create a 2/2 Pegasus with flying. Those are just the stats of that permanently no matter what, and as long as Archon of Sun's Grace is still on the field, it does give all of your other Pegasus creatures lifelink. So really busted card. Very hard to beat, especially if you have a lot of enchantments in your deck to get those Constellation triggers off. If you can get a few of those off before they grab the removal for the Archon, you can even use it to crush your opponent from beyond the grave in that kind of way. So Archon of Sun's Grace, a fantastic rare here. Definitely the pick. If it weren't in the pack, it's probably between one of the pretty good removal spells here. Dreadful Apathy, excellent white common removal spell, and One with the Stars, a pretty good uncommon removal spell in blue. I think we'd probably just take Apathy here. It's a cheaper removal spell. It doesn't stop the abilities of whatever you enchant, but you can stop the abilities if you spend the extra mana to exile that enchanted creature, whereas One with the Stars just never stops the abilities of the card. It just turns it into enchantment instead of a creature, so all of the abilities on the card are still relevant. So trying to find a good example, but none of the creatures in here would really survive past a One with the Stars, but there are some creatures that would. Like if we used a One with the Stars on Archon of Sun's Grace, they'd still be getting Pegasi whenever an enchantment entered their battlefield, and all of their Pegasi would still have lifelink. So yeah, One with the Stars definitely a bit weaker than Apathy, so I'd take Apathy over that, but maybe even Grey Merchant's pretty good. Just a really good enter the battlefield effect with a high black devotion. Alright, what do we take now? Nothing great in white. Glory Bearers is pretty filler, but a 3/4 is just a nice amount of toughness and it buffs your other attacking creatures. And Flicker of Fate, also pretty filler. The best thing this card can do is combo with Dreadful Apathy. You can cast this in response to the exile trigger on your Dreadful Apathy to then pacify another creature with it. So because Dreadful Apathy has the activated ability that exiles the creature you enchanted, you can spend the mana to use that ability and respond to that ability at instant speed with this card to flicker your Dreadful Apathy and just put it on something else, and the creature that you targeted to exile still gets permanently exiled. So a good combo with that, but I don't think we take it for that combo without already having Dreadful Apathies. This is definitely something you take later, I think. So the white cards are just not looking great here. We have Illyrios, which is a great rate for its mana cost. For 3 mana, you get a 3/2, then when the 3/2 dies, you get a 2/3, essentially. So that's just really nice, 2 creatures for 3 mana. Warbriar Blessing is the best removal you're going to get in green, really. 2 mana to have one of your creatures fight an opposing creature and give that creature +0/+2 permanently. It is an enchantment to trigger Constellation for cards like Archon of Sun's Grace. White-green does lend itself well to an enchantment-based decks, but in Theros, really any color scheme is going to have a lot of Constellation, so we don't have to go after the green cards that much higher. But I do like Warbriar Blessing a lot, so this is really good. Illyrios is really solid. Grey Merchant is good if you've got a ton of black devotion. If we take that, we want to take a lot of black cards. Probably between Illyrios and Warbriar Blessing here. And I guess I'm going to prioritize Warbriar Blessing just because it is an enchantment for the Archon, and white-green will have a lot of other cards themed around having a lot of enchantments and Constellation and stuff like that, so it just seems like a good color pair to be in. We have Ichthyomorphosis, just another good common removal spell. Nessian Hornbeetle can be fantastic in a green deck with a lot of power 4 or greater creatures. If you play this on turn 2 and then play Loathsome Chimera turn 3, that is just awesome. The ability of this to just keep getting +1/+1 counters every turn makes it a very resilient threat. It's the power and toughness you want on turn 2, as well as just becoming a big threat in the late game. So I do like this card a lot. And then we have some decent enchantments in white to go with the Constellation stuff for Archon. I think Nessian Hornbeetle is just a very good card. I think it's enough better than these that while these do combo better with Constellation stuff, I'm just going to take the stronger card here, I think, and take the Hornbeetle. Now what do we have? Ooh, Rise to Glory is a card that really makes me want to be in white-black because this card is exceptional with Dreadful Apathy. Like, the dream game for this deck, if we did end up in white-black, would be a game where they've killed our Archon of Sun's Grace, and we've used the Dreadful Apathy and exiled something. Then we can just cast this, return Archon of Sun's Grace and Dreadful Apathy from the grave. That is just super good. This is a very, very powerful card, and I'm pretty interested in taking it here, although there's still a lot of green in the pack. Grove Dancer for just a filler creature that does trigger Constellation, and Setessan Training as a decent aura, drawing us a card and giving trample. So, like, we have good stuff for the green-white Constellation, so it might be kind of bold to just take another off-color card. But man, this would pay off very well if we can end up in white-black. I guess we do have Hornbeetle and Warbriar Blessing. We are already, like, we have two pretty great green cards already. So we're pretty likely to want to be green. Yeah, I should probably just take one of the green enchantments. Doesn't feel awesome, though. Rise to Glory is a cool card. I'm going to go ahead and just take a Grove Dancer, Training. I'll take a Training here. I feel like I'll be able to get a lot of other like filler creatures, especially in green-white. We can just get like Hero of the Prides and stuff. Let's see what we have now. Daybreak Chimera is a pretty solid creature. 5 mana for a 3/3 flyer isn't the worst, and this can often cost less if you have some white devotion. Like if we have Archon of Sun's Grace on board, then this only costs 3 mana for a 3/3 flyer, which is really good. So this card's really solid. Karametra's Blessing's pretty solid as well. There's a lot of enchantment creatures and enchanted creatures with stuff like a Setessan Training in green-white, so +2/+2 hexproof indestructible is insane for 1 mana, and even just +2/+2 is solid, so Karametra's Blessing's a pretty good pump spell. Loathsome Chimera is great with our Nessian Hornbeetle, giving us the 4-power creature turn 3 to combo with it, and Heliod's Punishment is good as a temporary removal spell, good in an aggressive deck, because it holds off that creature for like 4 turns, because it has to work off the punishment. Very flavorful card. Definitely not as good as the common removal, the Dreadful Apathy. That being said, it is still pretty good. We do have one Warbriar Blessing already. I kind of think I want to take Chimera here. I just really want to have cards to combo with this Hornbeetle. But this is a difficult pick. Like, Chimera is usually just a slightly better creature than Chimera. But because we have Hornbeetle, I'm leaning to Chimera. But then there's also Karametra's Blessing. We are going to have a lot of enchantments. There's Heliod's Punishment. Lots of ways we could go here. I think I'm going to take the Loathsome Chimera, because like the other thing about this is we are pretty heavy into green here, so we could even pivot into green and something else. We'd prefer to be in white, obviously, with Archon of Sun's Grace, but I don't think we're seeing a lot of great white cards, so we might get cut out of it pretty badly. Here I will just take another Loathsome Chimera. I don't think there's any off-color card that is strong enough to really push me into another color. And Karametra's Blessing is solid, but Chimera is just so good with Hornbeetle. Wow, there's really nothing in white, is there? I really don't want to have to drop the Archon of Sun's Grace, but we might be heading in that direction. There are several pretty good cards for a red-green deck here, and obviously a lot of red cards. Red-green in this format cares a lot about power 4 or greater. As you can see, Nessian Hornbeetle cares about that, Stampede Rider cares about that, and Furious Rise cares about that. So in red-green, the fact that we have 2 Loathsome Chimera already, we've got a pretty good start to that sort of strategy. Furious Rise could be a pretty powerful card draw engine in that deck. Flummox Cyclops, a great card to trigger the stuff that cares about power 4 or greater. And Stampede Rider, a decent creature on curve when you've got a lot of power 4 or greater stuff. I think I'm going to take Furious Rise. I think it's the least replaceable kind of card for that strategy if we end up in it. Red-green, you're going to have a lot of decent creatures, so we don't really need the Stampede Riders, because we're likely to just have plenty of fine creatures. And we don't really need the Flummox Cyclops with 2 power 4 creatures already, and again, just tons of creatures in red-green. Final Flare's fine removal, but it's not super exciting in red-green. I guess we do have some good sacrifice targets for it. We could sacrifice a Setessan Training or a Warbriar Blessing, because the buffs that they give aren't actually that great. So just sacrificing one of these to do 5 to something is solid. But I think Furious Rise, again, just the least replaceable kind of effect for a red-green deck. Now we have Transcendent Envoy, or we have Setessan Skirmisher. If we're taking a red card, it's Infuriate. Just a fine pump spell. I don't think we're taking that. I think we take one of these creatures here. Cetessan Skirmisher isn't a card that excites me a lot, but it is really good if you're a very aggressive deck. Usually like green-white with a bunch of like 1-mana auras, like the white escape card Sentinel's Eyes. I think I'd rather just take Transcendent Envoy, even though it's more likely that we cut it. I think it's just a lot better. Look at all these red cards. I'm thinking we're hopping into red-green. Omen of the Forge for a nice cheap removal spell. Only really good against the aggressive decks. Obviously, it's not going to kill a big bomby creature like an Archon of Sun's Grace because it only does 2 damage. But it's a solid card. It also gives you an enchantment to trigger Constellation cards and sacrifice to the Final Flare. That removal we saw earlier. We could take one of these filler 4-mana creatures, or 4-power creatures, or we could take a good 2-drop, probably my favorite red 2-drop Incendiary Oracle. Aspect of Manticore is like a really good combat trick. +2/+0 in First Strike is just really hard to get through, and then you get a permanent buff of +2/+0, so Aspect of Manticore is also just a good combat trick. A lot of solid picks here. I don't think we can go super wrong. I think I'm taking one of the red cards, though. Do have a Hornbeetle already, but that's our only 2-mana creature. I feel like the higher mana creatures are going to be more replaceable generally than the lower mana ones. So if I'm taking a creature, I'll take Oracle. So it's kind of between Oracle and Omen of the Forge. Because I like Omen of the Forge more than Aspect of Manticore if I'm not taking a creature. I'm going to take Incendiary Oracle. This is really weird. Maybe I'm really overvaluing that card, but I do love that thing. I'm going to take it. I love me an Incendiary Oracle. I'm just going to be honest with myself in this draft. Now we can take the Aspect of Manticore. Like, it can be a really good combat trick. Arena Trickster is not going to do a lot in this color scheme. We don't have any instant speed stuff right now, and we're not likely to get a ton. So Arena Trickster just not for this deck. The red-blue deck is where that really shines. And Nyxborn Brute, just the fact that this has no text makes it borderline unplayable. Even if it has really high power, it is just always trading down into like a Chimera or something dumb that costs less mana than it. Take that Aspect of Manticore. Stampede Rider is not bad at all at this point. We could take Transcendent Envoy, though, if we are really still trying to push on the Archon. I guess we only have 3 red cards right now. So if we take Transcendent Envoy, we have just as many white cards as we have red cards. And we can hope that Pack 2 shows white being more open. I think Stampede Rider is probably generally better than Transcendent Envoy, but in the color pair, Transcendent Envoy could end up being better because we could get the like 4-mana +2/+2 First Strike enchantment, lots of great auras like that. Dreadful Apathies are cheaper with it as well. Yeah, I'm not so sure about the second color, but we're definitely green, especially because we're picking up a decent 2-drop here. Skull of Grove Dancer. We're taking the green card over the white card because we're not 100% sure we're playing white. Alright, now we do have a good stack of red cards, but a lot of the ones we picked up at the end there just sucked. Like, I really don't want to play Revelers. And Rage Hound is a bit iffy to me, just because there's so many things that can kill 1 toughness creatures easily. And this thing is forced to attack, like at least Chimera, if they do have like 1/1s and stuff, we don't have to send it into a bad attack. So I do really like the Fairies Band Brawler in the Power 4 or greater decks. And it'll be solid even if we're green-white, because we have like Hornbeetle that cares about Power 4 or greater. It's just a removal spell and a creature all in one. Of course, it can only kill stuff with 4 or less toughness, so it can't kill everything, but it can kill a lot. It usually does something pretty solid, so I think I'm going to take the Fairies Band Brawler here. Again, just nothing in white, but that's just because we didn't open anything in white. In terms of red, Dreamstalker Manticore is good in the Power 4 or greater deck, because you can curve out Hornbeetle into that. Any Power 4 creature that only costs 3 mana is just so good with Hornbeetle, because getting the counters just as quickly as possible is exactly what you want to do. Now, what have we here? A bunch of red cards again. Some decent white cards like Indomitable Will is a pretty nice combat trick. It's also an aura, so it's cheaper with Envoy. It's an enchantment to trigger with Archon. Birth of Melodis is... I don't know, it feels like it's for a slower deck, because you're spitting out a 0/4 and gaining a couple life. You grab a Plains with it, so you're sort of drawing a card, but you're just drawing a land. Basically a 2-mana 0/4 that gains 2 life and draws a plains from your deck is what that is. It's pretty alright. I don't know if that's what we really want though for if we do end up in white-green. Don't love any of these green cards, but Return to Nature is definitely main deckable. There's always going to be something to hit with this because there's so many enchantments, and there's even just escape cards you could exile. So red cards are actually kind of filler. Like Celebrant's really good in the sack deck. It's pretty good just in any red deck. And then there's like Stampede Rider's the next best one, and then it's just kind of filler stuff for us. I kind of think I want to just take Indomitable Will. I don't know, that might feel really weird here. Sentinel's Eyes is good too, because it has such a cheap escape cost. So we have Cyclops is the creature I'm most excited about in red, just because it has power 4. So I'm more excited about that than the Rage Hound. But I think I'm just going to take Destiny Spinner. 2 mana for a 2/3 is just a great rate, and this gives you a bunch of other incidental text. All of a sudden your opponent can't counter your stuff, and maybe you have enough enchantments out that you just start attacking your opponent with lands in the late game. So Destiny Spinner is a really solid card, because the baseline of this card is pretty nice, and it can do a lot more if you're lucky. Yeah, I guess we're just focusing in on green here, because now in red we have a really bad card, Satyr's Cunning, and white not much better, just a 3/6 scry one. So I'll take a Cetessan Petitioner here. We just don't have a lot at 3 mana, and doesn't super seem like a skirmisher deck to me. I guess we do have a lot of enchantments, but 2/1's a hard sell. I guess this is often attacking as a 3/2. I think I'm still going to take Petitioner there, though. Voracious Typhon's pretty perfect for us. It does the power 4 or greater thing, and it gives us a recurable game-ending card. If the game goes long, we can just start escaping this and just repeatedly playing a 7/7. Even if they kill it, we just play it as a 7/7 again if they didn't, like, exile it. So Typhon is a real solid card. I do like that a lot here. Again, green is our core color, so I'm more prone to taking Typhon than like Daxos or maybe Stampede Rider in red. I guess Caryatid is an option as well if we want to try to play all 3 of these colors, but I don't really think I do. I think Typhon's just good enough to take over that mana fixer there. Lean-In of the Lost Pride and Thrill of Possibility. Again, just nothing real exciting in the other colors. I'll just take a Training. And, wow, maybe both of our secondary colors are just getting completely cut by the bots. This has been a strange draft. Maybe we just go mono green. We'll see what happens when we get to pack 3. Here, I think there's pretty much a 0% chance of me playing anything I draft. I guess we could end up like, I don't know if it's more likely to be green blue or green black is the problem. Either strategy we end up in, we end up taking a pretty mediocre card here, so I don't feel too bad about it. Whatever I take, just grab something. Grab a big dork. Big old 5/4 triggers, power 4 greater stuff, I guess. Alright, solid green, 4 power creature, Nylea's Huntmaster. And we have a lot of green in this deck, so our green devotion could be pretty high to give that +X+O a lot of oomph, a lot of bang for our buck. Maybe you give like +4, +5+O till end of turn. Could be real nice. There is Omen of the Hunt, so there are cards that we're seeing that could let us like try to splash into some kind of 3-color deck. I think we're probably going to end up green-white here. If we just end up scooping up a ton of green cards, just green as our core, mainly just kind of splashing in these random cards, looks like the most likely chance here. Take another Chimera. Omen of the Hunt or Stampede Rider. Well, I think now I should probably take Omen of the Hunt, because I really don't want to play Reverent Relivers. I don't super want to play Rage Hound. Even Aspect of Manticore seems a little weird here. Really, the coolest red card we have is Furious Rise, which does really help us draw cards, but I'm thinking we look like we're just going to accept the fact that we're not going to be able to draft too many white cards. We'll just draft a ton of green stuff and then splash in a tiny bit of white for like Archon of Sun's Grace. That seems like the plan here. And if I am committing to green-white, I think I actually just take Sentinel's Eyes over Omen of the Hunt. So Omen of the Hunt's not a card I really like unless I'm splashing. Yeah, Sentinel's Eyes seems like a pretty solid card for this deck. Just a recurable Constellation trigger. It also gives Vigilance, like making a 4/4 a 5/5 Vigilance is real good. Probably not playing Plummet, but basically committed to not playing red at this point. And probably not playing this either. I guess green is our core. This could be like a big overrun effect if we end up with a lot of green devotion. We'll see. I mean, you never know. All right. Ooh, that is a payoff and a half right there. That is what you want to see when you've ended up in a very heavily green deck. The green goddess herself, Nylea, Keen-Eyed. 4 mana for a 5/6 indestructible if your devotion to green is 5 or more. Also, all of your creatures cost 1 less to cast, and you get to use her to just keep trying to draw more creatures. 3 mana to reveal the top. If it's a creature, throw it into your hand, or you can put it in the graveyard if it's not. Really nice late game card to just keep drawing a bunch of stuff, even if she's not a creature at that point. We're going to scoop up a Nylea Keen-Eyed here, and Dreadful Apathy or Heliod's Intervention is actually a really hard pick here. I think it's one of those two, though. Definitely taking one of the white cards. Heliod's Intervention, it really depends on the matchup we end up in, which one of these cards is going to be better. Heliod's Intervention is interesting because it can, like, 2 or 3 for one our opponent if they're playing a deck with a lot of enchantment creatures, or even just, like, 1 enchantment creature, 1 aura. We could kill 2 of those with this. So that is, like, super solid when we can do that, but it's not like 100% chance that we're getting a 2 for 1 with this, or even one thing. There will be some times when our opponent's just playing green-red monsters and they've got like Typhon and I don't know, some big red dork, some 4 or 5 out, and we're like, well, Heliod's Intervention does nothing here. Like, there's times where it doesn't do anything, whereas Dreadful Apathy will always be removing a creature. So the less consistent but potentially much bigger blowout, or just the consistent, always going to do something removal spell. Let's go big or go home. Take the Heliod's Intervention here. Worst case scenario, this is also just taking a rare for our collection. And it could be gems if I have 4 or more of it. I guess I could have checked there. Triumphant Surge. Destroy creature's power 4 or greater and gain 3. We don't have a ton of removal, so that could be okay. We have like Warbriar Blessing, Heliod's Intervention, and then we're just trying to do some kind of little combat tricky stuff to kill things like Indomitable Will. Favorite of Iroas could be pretty good in this deck, though. We do have a lot of Constellation stuff. Give it Double Strike a lot, and it's pretty good with auras, so like Cetessan Training, Indomitable Will, Sentinel's Eyes. It's good with all those cards. That actually does seem pretty solid, but I am somewhat hurting for removal here. How many creatures do I have? I have 15 already. Maybe I should lean towards this removal spell. Yeah, Favorite of Iroas is fun, but let's just grab the removal, make sure we have a good amount of that. Ooh, Nyx Herald I think is definitely the pick for me. We don't have a lot going on at our higher mana cost, which is something to be a little worried about, but we have cards like Typhon that can escape multiple times, and Nylea that can keep drawing cards in the late game that could help us out on that front. And Nyx Herald is an enchantment creature to trigger Constellation. We have a decent amount of enchantment creatures and some auras, so we have a lot of cards that we can be giving +1/+1 and trample to with this card. So I think this just seems like a real solid card for our deck. We'd love to like wheel some big dork like Nyxborn Colossus. I don't think we'll wheel Nylea's Forerunner because I do think it's better generally because it gives your whole field trample, which is nice. So I don't think we'll wheel this. I would love to wheel this, but it's actually likely, or at least possible, that we'll wheel some Nyxborn Colossus style dork and throw that in here to help with the high mana cost cards. Dawn of Angel could actually be fine in this deck as well. We've got some creatures that cost 2 or less to return to our hand with this ability, and a decent amount of auras, 2 Cetessan Training, Warbriar Blessing, Sentinel's Eyes, Indomitable Will. It's like 4 auras. It also fills out the 3-drop slot, and it's an enchantment to trigger Constellation. Seems pretty good to me. We did already take a Triumphant Surge earlier, so I'm not feeling like I need to take another one here, since we got that sort of out of the way. Ooh, I'm happy to take Nylea's Forerunner here. We are looking for just big creatures that help end the game, and giving your whole field trample will help do that. Sometimes Colossus could be better for us, though, because it attacks in easier, because it's got 7 toughness, but giving everything trample is just massive. I think I'm going to go with Forerunner. Another Loathsome Chimera. I guess that's the other thing to consider. In terms of late game plays, we also just have the ability to escape Chimeras as well, not just Typhon. We do have 3 Chimeras, though. I think I will take just the dorky big green creature, Nyxborn Colossus. If we get Nyxborn Colossus and Nylia's Forerunner out, that'll be really good, because then we have a 6-7 trample. Build your own threat right there. Build your own Colossal Dreadmaw, I guess. Nexus Wardens is a card that annoys me every time I see it, so I think it's pretty good. A 1-4 reach is just really good at blocking stuff, and this just sits there and gains so much life throughout the game with its Constellation trigger. This card's a lot better than it looks. At least that's how it's felt from my opponents casting it against me. I have not cast this card since they returned Theros to Arena, so we'll see. Moss Viper's pretty nice, because it can trade into any bigger green creature, just hold your opponent off from attacking. It's that or a 3-mana 3/3, and I think we have a lot of 3-mana stuff now. 3 Chimera, Evangel, Nexus Wardens, Nyx Herald, Petitioner, yeah, tons of 3-mana creatures. Just scoop up a Viper, I guess. Cetessan Training or Nexus Wardens? We do have 21 creatures now, so we get to cut a lot of creatures. 8 non-creatures, so we have less options for what we're cutting out of our non-creatures, generally. Like, we might end up cutting Cetessan Training, but we're probably cutting Nexus Wardens number 2. I don't know. I do like having more auras to combo with Evangel, more enchantments to combo with our Constellation cards. We do already have 2 Cetessan Training, though. How likely am I to want to run 3? Actually, yeah. 2 Training, Indomitable Will, and Sentinel's Eyes. That is just a ton of auras already, generally. Take another Clothis' Design. I'm probably not playing these, though. We'll find out. We wield the Forerunner and the Colossus. So, we got all those options at the end, which is surprising to me. Probably not playing Gift of Strength. I've got a lot of auras, some of which are like combat tricks. Alright. Turn the wibbly wobbly 3D warpy parallax styles off. Just a personal preference thing. Alright, I need to cut 10 cards out of here, which is easier said than done for me. So, first and foremost, I don't know if we're living the Clothis' Design dream. I guess we've got so much devotion to green. We could just cut so many white cards out of here. Wait a second. Our most bomby cards are in white, so there's almost no way this is correct, but we could go mono green. Mono green with double Clothis' Design sounds just so fun. We don't have anything really bomby in green. I guess we have Nylia. If we're mono green, that is pretty bomby, because we can trigger that 5 devotion pretty easily. Even our non-creatures here are a lot of enchantments that will sit on the board and help Constellation. You know what? I don't think that there's no way this is the right deck to make, but this seems like the funnest deck to make. I mean, come on. Mono, green, Stompy, and Draft? I need to cut 1 card here, and then we're golden. Probably not one of these 2-mana cards. 5, 6 non-creatures here. We could cut a Gift of Strength. I do want a lot of permanence in this deck, because I have so many cards that care about devotion. We have Nylia, we have the Huntmaster, the Petitioner, the Clothis' Design. All of these just care a lot about having green permanence on the battlefield, so we want a lot of our cards just to be random permanents. I think I would cut a Gift of Strength here. It's just big, green, dorky creatures, the deck. I really like the look of that. I'm going to save that, but I'm also going to go ahead and do my due diligence and actually build what I think would be the best like green-white deck here. And we'll probably end up running that, but if I decide not to run it, then this would just be like, if you drafted this pool and you wanted to make the best deck possible, this is what you should probably do. We'll go through the thought patterns on how to build this, at least, even if I'm not the best deck builder ever. I could get some experience doing this. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think if we're going green-white, we're probably not playing the Clothis' Design, and we're probably cutting some green creatures. Hello, neighbor. I don't know if I want to cut any of these non-creatures at this point. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that's fine. Probably cut some of the stuff that cares a lot about our green devotion. I don't know if I cut Nylia, though, because her ability's still quite good. Maybe we do cut, like, Cetessan Petitioner. try to focus in on just a bunch of enchantment creatures, so definitely don't cut any enchantment creatures out of this. Probably like Huntmaster can get cut. 5 more to cut. Rumbling Sentry just seems generally bad, so we're playing Archon, Dawn of Angel, Double Transcendent Envoy, Sun's Eyes, Indomitable Will, Heliod's Intervention for the white cards. Triumphant Surge as well. I think I would keep that in here. We just don't have a lot of removal. Still need to cut 4 more cards. This is going to be difficult. I guess the Hornbeetle isn't often living the dream with these Chimeras, so maybe we cut a couple Chimeras, focus more in on Constellation. I mean, I guess Hornbeetle is often living the dream with the Chimeras, it's just we only have 1 Hornbeetle, so we aren't living that dream. Like, often we'll just have Chimeras without Hornbeetles, and they'll just get blocked by a 1/1, and we'll be sad about it. So Chimera is not super great without the support of cards like Hornbeetle. Guess it is pretty good with like Warbriar Blessing and stuff too, though. Indomitable Will. It does have to be blocked. I mean, not technically, but it often does. These envoys don't seem awesome here because all our auras already just cost 2. But they are flying creatures, which is fine, which is solid. And I could see cutting them. One more thing. I do like the cheap escape on Sentinel's Eyes for Constellation. Maybe just cut another Chimera here. This is what the green-white deck kind of looks like. A little slower, a little bit more controlling just because it's got more removal. So we focus more in on Constellation with cards like Nexus Wardens blocking things off and just gaining a bunch of life. And then trying to Constellation out with Archon. For the dream plays, I think I'm going to not save this. I think I'm going to play the mono green because the thought of killing somebody with Klothys' design just seems awesome to me. That is a card that I rarely see played just because it requires such high green devotion. So just being mono green, just doing the thing, that sounds like a real fun time. I'm just going to go for it. Mono green. Mono green Archon of Sun's Grace as the deck box. I should start naming my decks too. Mono green Archon. There we go. Let's just do the thing. See what happens here. I may not be here for like a winning time, but I am here for a fun time, that's for sure. I don't know what the quote is. I butchered it. I will keep this. We've got 3 mana. We don't have any turn 2 plays, but I think I only have like 3 or 4 2-mana creatures. So we're not often likely to be able to do that. So just having 3 lands to be able to actually start playing creatures is good. Ooh, we draw the 2-drop, and it combos really well with Nyx's Herald. We get to play this Herald, and then pump the Grove Dancer just immediately the turn we play Herald and get in for 3 damage next turn. Pretty nice. Our opponent doesn't even have a creature to block here, so that's definitely the play. Just cheese in a few damage. Opponent is on green-white. We'll see if they are on the Archon of Sun's Grace deck. As are we. We're on mono-green Archon. I could have just kept the deck exactly like it is, cut 1 forest, and put it in Archon of Sun's Grace. No, that is definitely a joke, but it would be funny. So I get to buff Grove Dancer, attack with both. They can't possibly block here, so they just go down to 12. Seems pretty good. And I kind of think I just want to curve out. Just play as many creatures as I can, put the pressure on since they're down to 12. I could have cast some Setessan Trainings to draw cards, make sure I can make it up to my 6 mana for Fairies Band Brawler, but I think it's more damage in the long run just putting more creatures out if they don't play like a really big blocker here. Courser's actually pretty decently sized. The fact that Eutropia puts permanent +1/+1 counters on stuff as well is a bit dangerous. Ooh, they're just going to leave Eutropia back. So I don't think they really want to block with Utopia. I think I cast a Cetessan Training here, main phase 1, hoping to draw into another land for a Chimera. If we don't, we can just drop double Training and just swing in. A 3/3 attacks into Nyxborn Courser fine, so I think we throw a Cetessan Training on Nyx Herald. Then we have a 3/3 there. Nyx Herald buffs Grove Dancer. That's a 3/3 as well. We get to attack with both of those. They can block one without taking damage, but then they have to take 3 or trade Utopia off. Of course, if we don't draw land here, we'll just also Training the Petitioner and just go ham. We did draw land, so we will just play a Chimera main phase 2. I think I do want to offer the trade because I want to get Utopia off this board. Alright, they're just going to stop some of the damage, take 3, and we will drop our Chimera. If we hit a land this next turn, that will be beautiful. Drop a Fairies Band Brawler and kill one of their blockers, as well as get another creature on the board to attack. Our opponent is on 3 color, basically the opposite of our deck. They're on white, blue, and green. Does give them give them access to very powerful cards like Utopia in the multicolored slots. Getting a permanent +1/+1 buff every time they play an enchantment is pretty huge. So 3/3 and 3/5 now. Could throw a Cetessan Training onto this Chimera, and then it can still attack into the Courser, even if I don't buff it. If I do buff it, it just has 2 toughness and 6 power, so I don't think I'm buffing it here. I think I just throw Training on it. Nyx Herald can only buff enchanted creatures or enchantment creatures, so it doesn't get to attack unless I throw a Training on it, because I can't just buff it unless there's a Training on it. The awkward part is that I don't want to buff it once there's a Training on it. That was a weird bit of dialogue there. Nice little malfunction in my programming. So I could throw Grove Dancer to 3/3, but then it's not even getting in. So I guess, might as well. Pokes in for 1 more trample damage here. Pretty sure we're just trading with the Courser now. I doubt they want to go to 3 life, and I highly doubt they want to trade with Utopia. Alright, nice. So we do kill the Courser, get a damage in there, and we've got 2 cards in grave. We need 3 more to... I guess we only need 2 more to escape the Chimera. We need 4 total because one of the cards in grave is the Chimera itself. Well, let's cast another Chimera. Play our land for turn. We're ready to cast a Fairies Band Brawler next turn. Or if we top deck a Klothys' Design, that could do some things. That could do some things. We've got 6 green devotion right now. Give our whole field +6/+6 till end of turn. Let's live that dream. Fingers crossed here. They have to chump block everything. Oh my god, come on, top deck. Forerunner's pretty good too, though. But Fairies Band Brawler is by far the best thing we can do, because we get to kill Utopia before they put any more counters on their stuff. Which seems pretty dang important here. Get to attack with a Chimera, and they can only trade or take 4. Don't really care what they trade with, I just get to escape this later. None of our other creatures can attack into their field well. Yep, just attack with Chimera here. Trade with the Eidolon seems fine to me. We have 7 green devotion right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. My lord, we do. Make Voracious Typhon a 5/5 Vigilance. Depending on what that 1 card in their hand is, they may or may not attack here. Alright. So that makes me relatively certain that card's not a combat trick, at least not a good one. Alright. Alright, we are definitely digging for the Klothys' design at this point. Give that huge buff to end the game. I suppose we could attack with everybody. We lose a Brawler and hit them for 4. They're at 4 life. Then we just cast a Chimera from our grave, and again, we could attack all. They have to have another creature to survive. We probably go for it. There's no reason to play a Forerunner right now, because Trample doesn't do anything. They just have 5 toughness already, unless they flash in a blocker. If they flash in a blocker, this will be really bad for me. Well, I guess I get in 5 damage here, put them to 3 life. This is definitely worth the attack. They have got to play another creature or they're dead next turn. So would we rather escape a Chimera or just cast a Forerunner? If I escape a Chimera, I do have to exile another Chimera from grave. I guess we just cast Forerunner. Trample might matter if they do play like another blocker. It's just as much mana, just as big of a power. Either way, we're casting a spell, so they could counter either one. Cast Forerunner here. Alright, exile the Nyx Herald. They can prevent that damage. I will hold on to this land just to look a little spooky. Maybe get them to shake in their boots over there. Benoit. Alright, Moss Viper. Oh dear. I do get to trample over that? Actually, yeah, it's still lethal. Moss Viper. One of the only creatures they could have drawn where we still have lethal because it's only 1 toughness. I'm glad they conceded because I would have been really scared if they didn't. So they saved me a little bit of anxiety there. I would have still went for the all attack, but it would have been a scary all attack. Because if they had anything, obviously they could do some bad things to us. Luckily, no cards in hand means 5/5 blocks Forerunner. Moss Viper blocks one of these 2. I hit them for 2 with whatever's not blocked and 1 trample damage right there. So that worked out for us. We didn't get to do the Klothys' design thing, which is a little sad. We'll get there some game. But we made it with a mono green deck, and that's pretty fun. That's just a good time in general. I'm actually very, I really like playing monocolored decks in Limited. Honestly, the least colors in Limited, the better, in my opinion. I'm not a huge fan of, drafting big, splashy, 5-color decks. And even splashing in 3rd colors is not as fun to me. I like being, as honed in onto, just as few things as possible. I don't know, maybe I'm boring in that way. But, one of the first drafts I ever did was M10, the core set for 2010 or 2009 or whatever, and they had a very powerful monocolored uncommon in each color in that set, and I absolutely loved it because the green one was Howl of the Night pack, which was a green and 6. You just make a 2/2 wolf for each forest you control. So if you're mono green, turn 7, you play that, you're just 7 2/2s. And that format also had Overrun, which was 3 green and 2 to give your whole field +3/+3 and trample till end of turn. So I just drafted nothing but mono green. It was so good. Everyone's drafting their competitive limited decks, and here I am. It's basically the first limited format I ever got into. Just this 13-year-old kid just dropping down wolves. So I have very fond memories of monocolored and limited and stuff like that. Alright, Shimmering Chimera is a scary card, but we've got a real scary start here to pressure them. So we can force them into bad trades. They don't want to trade with Chimera here, but they might have to, because if they don't, they take 8 and go to 9 life. Alright, the Chimera's trade. Very flavorful, loathsome trades for Shimmering. So yeah, Shimmering Chimera, definitely a card you always want to kill as soon as possible, because this kind of effect is so powerful in this format. There's tons of good enter the battlefield effects on enchantments, and even if they don't have any of that, there are just powerful constellation triggers. What is our green devotion right now? It's 2, so I need 5 to trigger Nylea. Nylea could not attack this turn anyway. I think we just cast her. Now we have 3 green devotion. If we draw a double green card, we'll get to attack with her. Like, I think it's better to cast her than a 1/4, because it's getting 1 more damage in, whereas Nylea, if we draw a double green card, is just getting a lot more damage in. They're down to 9. Oh yeah, Nylea makes our creatures cost 1 less too. Okay, Nylea is definitely the play, because she also lets us just cast her Forerunner even if we don't draw land, which is a very good play on this board. We get a 5/3 out, which means that the Hornbeetle gets another counter. Of course, we did draw land, which is a little weird, because now we're just playing one thing anyway, but yeah, it's still Forerunner. We get Trample on the Hornbeetle. Even if they block, we trample over for 1, and we don't lose a creature. We're only 1 devotion away from turning on Nylea, and we're only 1 mana away from casting a spell to give our whole field +4/+4. They're at 4 life. That would make even Nyx Herald hit them for 4, which would be lethal. There's the concession. That game was really just showing off the power of Hornbeetle. That was why I was drafting cards like Chimera so aggressively, because you can just get starts where you Hornbeetle turn 2, Chimera turn 3, and then your opponent just cannot do anything about it. You definitely have to draw a pretty interactive hand to stop that kind of thing. You need to have the removal quickly, or it is going to just overrun you. So bad time for our opponent, but pretty good time for our Hornbeetle. Got a lot of food that day. 2 wins and no losses here for mono green Theros. It's already done better than the sweet looking blue-red flash deck we drafted last time, so I don't know if that's embarrassing or exciting. The mono green deck, killing it thus far. Even if we lose the next 3 games, it did better than the blue-red flash. Alright, I guess it's spoilers. Maybe I shouldn't talk about previous drafts, just in case. You never know. YouTube recommends things in weird ways, so maybe somebody just Googles Theros draft and they just see the newest one, they watch this one first, and then they want to watch the previous ones, but I already just told them what happens last draft. I don't know. I'm gonna keep this. It's a bit rough because we do really want to hit our 3rd mana, 4th mana, and 6th mana, but 1 drop into 2 drop, I don't think there's really any argument for mulliganing it. It's just a little bit scary is all. Playing against another green deck, they are on green-black. Green-black tends to have a lot of self-mill and escape cards. I don't really want to trade my Viper for Skirmisher unless they Constellation trigger it like 3 times and it's attacking in for 5 or something. But yeah, otherwise I don't think I'd take that trade. I'll take the Grovenancer for Skirmisher trade there. Even if they have an Omen, it only gets +1/+1, so that wouldn't save it. Unless they had, you know, +3/+3 combat trick or something, which I'd be willing to trade a small creature for. Chimera fight, let's go. I think I'd rather block Chimera with Chimera than Moss Viper. Just because they're green-black, they're probably going to have cards like just this big 6/7 dork that would be good. Oh, they're just going to drag our Moss Viper to the underworld. Get out of here. Back to literal Hades with you. I like the play. That was some aggro right there. Okay, I like that one less. I don't like them exiling my creatures. That's not as fun. Well, we hit our 6 mana, and we drew another 6 mana card, so we're going to be having a fun time in the late game here, but I'm assuming our opponent is as well based on how they've been playing. They could just be trying to fuel their grave for escape and try to get there that way. We only have 3 cards in grave. We need another one to bring back a Chimera. Yeah, fair enough. The Brawler isn't going to fight well into that. They'll just trade, so I think I play a 6/7 and hope that they're out of removal. If they are, the Nyxborn Colossus is the best creature on board at 6/7 against the 5/2. Alright, well, this is pretty sus. Loathsome Chimera is the imposter. What is going on? What possible tricks could they have here? 2 cards in hand. I cannot foresee this being anything that kills Colossus and doesn't also kill Chimera. I'm pretty sure we just trade for a Chimera here. But I don't remember this format super well. I'm assuming it's just like a +3/+3 combat trick or something. They still just trade. This thing's only got 2 toughness. Alright, show me the money. At least I'll learn what it is. Okay, yeah, +3/+3, just trade. Seems fine to me. They're down to 1 card in hand. We still have a creature to play. And a Chimera to unearth. They only have 1. I'd rather play Chimera right now in case they play another creature. So now we get a Chimera out. They're still a few cards away from getting theirs back out again. So we've got a creature. They've got nothing. They've got whatever's in hand. Currently winning. If they play a creature that... Oh. Oh, no. Okay, I need an adult. Okay, 10/6. All of my creatures have to block it. Whenever I block it, I draw a card. I guess I have to play the Brawler. Choose not to fight and then just double block Boar. If they draw removal, I'm just super dead. I can't Warbriar Blessing it because I fight a 5/4 into a 10/6. It doesn't kill it. I can't Clothis' Design because that's a sorcery. Like if I attack, they're just not going to block. Well, I mean, it's a sorcery anyway. So yeah, I'd have to play it. They'd know that it's a 6/3 and they just not block. Oh, this is... I don't like having to do this, but this is like our only play here. That does 10 to us every time it hits us. We can't just sit here and trump block it forever. I guess we draw cards every time we block it. We have to just hope they didn't immediately draw into removal to follow it up. Fingers crossed. Cheeks clenched. Mouth cheeks, of course. No attack, so they didn't draw into removal, and now I have the mana to cast Design and Blessing. I could get blown out by instant speed removal, but we're in it to win it. We're playing Howl of the Nightpeck. I probably should have traded with the other creature, but I like getting in for 8 here. Yeah, I should have just traded with the Chimera instead of the Fairies Band Brawler, because this one has Escape. And sure, it gets in for 8 instead of 7, but then, you know, every other turn, a 4/4 would be better if they play something scary. 5/2, I can give it Trample and Attack in. They're down to 12, so they die in 2 hits if I Setessan trading it. We definitely do that. We'll also have enough cards to escape Chimera if they trade here. But so will they. I think we still hit in, because we're trampling over for 3, so we 3 damage to them, and both players just get a Chimera back. So we're going to cast Chimera over Forerunner here, so that next turn I get to attack with the Chimera with Trample thanks to the Forerunner, so that the Chimeras just trade again, and I poke them for some damage. If I played Forerunner first, I'd be trading my Forerunner for a Chimera, which is much worse, because I'd be trading the creature with 1 more toughness and the ability to give my whole field Trample. So we definitely want to play Chimera first there. Because if their whole play here is just play Chimera, then yeah, this is great. Hit them for 3 again. They have 1 card engraved, so they can't escape. No pun intended there. I wish I thought of that. You can't escape death here. They've got 4 cards in hand. They have got to have something now. Renato with only 2 green devotion, just a 2/3, not big enough to kill Forerunner. I could Clothis' Design to make it a 6/3, that doesn't seem worth it. We should play another Forerunner here, I think. Just attack first, see what happens. They might not even block because they can't kill it. I guess casting Clothis' Design would force a block, but then I wouldn't be casting a creature this turn. I don't think it would be worth it. But maybe. Kind of build our own overrun here. We have the Forerunners giving our field Trample and the Design giving the +2/+2, +3/+3 kind of thing. Double Elspeth's Nightmare in hand. Mono green, let's go. That is not a good day for our opponent. That is, yeah, that's just the concession attack. Wow, our deck is very good against Elspeth's Nightmare. We only have 4 creatures in the deck that are like power 2 or less. Maybe we just... we did draw very well against it. We definitely have targets for Elspeth's Nightmares. The 1/4 reach creatures, the Horn Beetle, are 2 mana 2/2. But man, that has gotta hurt, drawing multiple removal spells. none of which can kill any of the creatures on board. So another great game for Mono Green Stompy. 3-0 now. Another solid hand, not doing anything till turn 3. But as I said before, that's just kind of one of the small flaws in the deck. Not a lot of 2-mana creatures. Ooh, Nyx Herald coming up. Do like that card. Attacks as a 3/4 trample by itself. Do we want to play that first? Kind of depends what happens. If our opponent plays a bunch of creatures here, they did start with a Destiny Spinner, but if they play more creatures, I think I'm just dropping a bunch of Chimeras. Unless they have like 1 toughness creatures. But if it's anything I'm fine trading a Chimera for, I would rather trade Chimera than anything else. Yeah, I'll trade Chimera for all this nonsense. I guess I could start with Nexus Wardens, try to make this a long game, but I'm not super feeling that. Just blocking stuff, maybe gaining a couple life. Yeah, no, let's get aggressive. Start slapping them with Chimeras. Chimera is one of those words I'll say this word 20 times in this video because I have multiple Loathsome Chimeras, and I'm going to say it differently. I'm going to say it in like 4 different ways all throughout the video. I'm sure I've said Chimera and Chimera. Chimera. Chimero. I don't know. At least it's not like calling it Chimera or anything. Banishing Light on the Loathsome Chimera. There I go again. Alright. Tessin Petitioner. Well, maybe we are sitting here and gaining life then. We could play double Wardens now, and we have a Setessan Petitioner to gain life. Try to just go along that way, but our opponent's on 3 colors, so they're likely to have better bombs than us in the late game. If you want to use a pump spell on my dork, go ahead. Otherwise, they're just doing 2. They have 3 enchantments on board, so they could start trying to make some elemental lands. Shimmering Chimera. I do not like that card. If I Setessan Training onto my Wardens, it is a 2-power creature big enough to block their flyer because it has reach. So I kind of want to do that, but I also really want to draw land so I can do that and play Hornbeetle, because that would be the best use of mana. Is if we can play both of those things, that'd be great. Otherwise, I could just play another Nexus Wardens. I could double block Chimera, but that does set up to be like wrecked by a removal spell. I guess not any more than Setessan Training does. Yeah, I don't know. Replay Training. Really hoping for that forest. It's been a while since we hit a land, so statistically, hopefully, we did get there. Drop a Hornbeetle. It is just going to be a 2/2 for a second, but next turn we can play a Chimera if we want to buff that up. They can bounce their Banishing Light and start exiling other things, but if they bounce Banishing Light, they give us back the Chimera anyway. There are too many Chimeras in this format. Now I'm going to get really self-conscious about the way I say that. Well, they're going to go for it. Probably get rid of the Hornbeetle then? Maybe get rid of Nexus Warden so they can just start attacking with the Chimera. Alright, seems fine. It's not really a 2-for-1 because Setessan Training just draws you a card when you play it. It's one of the things that's so good about that card. Like any other aura where you put it on, give like +3/+3, you don't draw a card or anything. It is pretty bad when you get Banishing Lighted on whatever the plan was. But it's not so bad that way around. If I don't trade here, Hornbeetle does go to 3/3, but I also take 7, go to 7 life. It seems riskier than I'm willing to go. Let's go down to 9, take 3 again this turn, because I can just play another Chimera and take 3 in the sky. 5 mana. I could play a Forerunner instead. Yeah, they do not have good attacks on the ground, either creature I play. They don't have good attacks in the sky if I play a Nexus Wardens, but I'm only playing 1 card that turn if I do that. And they do have a good attack with Naiad. They can double attack that way. Yeah, they double attack. I block their take 2. So if I play Nexus Wardens and they don't have removal, I take 2. If I play Forerunner and they don't have removal, I take 3, so I take 1 more damage. But if I play Forerunner and they do have removal, I have a 5/3 and a 3/3, so one of those is still out and blocks Naiad. So even if they have removal, I'm stopping damage this way. Yeah, it's also my most expensive card. This could be a counter spell here, that'd be sad. But I can't double spell here or anything. That would be awesome. Definitely not attacking here. Thirst for Meaning is the play. Draw 3, then discard 2, or discard 1 enchantment card. They discard a couple forests. This looks to be blue-green splashing in white for, like, Vanishing Lights. Could return Banishing Light and just use it on Forerunner now. But then I have blocks for everything, so we know we're surviving for a bit. They have cast some draw power, though, so they are set up for a long game as well. Ideally, you don't want to get into a card advantage war against a blue deck, because they're just going to have draw spells. Or even just a long game. So yeah, they did have removal as well with like Ichthyomorphosis, so our play definitely worked out better than the other play would have. But now I think I will play another Nexus Wardens, because I can play this and then Destiny Spinner. I gain some life that way. Hornbeetle doesn't get any bigger, but I'm not getting real aggressive here. So I don't need Hornbeetle to be any bigger. I just need it to be big enough to beat Naiad in combat for blocks or attacks. I attack in there because they need to kill a lot of things to get in with Naiad. Like, worst case scenario, somehow they kill both of these. I can still just chump block Naiad with Nexus Wardens, which is a thing I would want to do, because then Ichthyomorphosis goes to their grave. They can't bounce it with Chimera. And Nexus Wardens goes to my grave. I can escape with my Chimera. So that is a chump block we'd actually love to make, just chumping with Nexus Wardens. Of course, they did hit a Metamized Prophecy. This can give them a lot of card draw, especially with Shimmering Chimera. They scry 2, and they choose a name. Next turn, if they cast a card of that name, they draw 2. So if they bounce it at the right time with their Chimera, they could just keep scry 2 and draw 2. I guess it takes a while. They could just keep scrying 2 every turn if they're not going to bounce Banishing Light anyway. So they can really set up their draws with that, something I do not like at all. So kind of like playing a 4-power creature here. Hornbeetle would go to 4 toughness. It would be a 4/4. So in order to kill it, they'd have to block with Naiad and Grove Dancer. I highly doubt they block with Shimmering Chimera and something. So I kind of like playing Huntmaster and just going in with the Hornbeetle. Because we probably just poke in for some damage here, but if we don't, we kill 2 of their creatures to trade. I'm assuming we poke in for some damage, then they pick up Banishing Light and kill Hornbeetle instead. But this seems pretty solid to me, because then we just have a 4/3 on this board as well, which gets to attack in. Oh yeah, that's a 9/4 this turn. Probably double block Naiad and Grove Dancer, but maybe we just slam in for 9. That'd be pretty cool too. Alright, the trade is happening. Fine by me, we're clearing out their board. They only have 1 creature, a Shimmering Chimera. They don't want to trade with that creature, so we get to just start attacking with everything now. Just try to go wide around their stuff. Of course, they did scry 2, so they know what they're drawing into. Prophecy's probably not drawing them any cards. I guess they scried 2. Oh, Banishing Light with Shimmering Chimera. They know they can just cast a Banishing Light next turn. Worst case scenario, just recast it on the Forerunner. That is a nice combo with the Prophecy. Okay. I can only play 1 card here. They have a 2/3 for blocks. If I play Chimera, that'll be a better attacker next turn, but if I play Nyx Herald, I get to attack with a 3/4 and a 4/3 here. They could trade with Chimera. They really don't want to do that, but Naiad doesn't have any good blocks, so we chip in some damage that way. Seems a little better than Chimera to me, because otherwise we're just attacking with a 4/3, casting Chimera. This Nexus Warden's really showing off its abilities here, because they're not hitting us for 3 now, and we've been at a low life total, and we're gaining 2 life just incidentally on some of this stuff to give us some more breathing room. So Nexus Wardens has been putting in so much work. Plus, yeah, when they pick up Banishing Light, gain more life off of Forerunner coming back, even if they do immediately re-exile it. And they are going to re-exile it, that way they get to draw 2 cards off of Prophecy. Depending if their upkeep is before the main phase, so they can return the Prophecy. Nessian Boar again. All right, well, we have to block that with our whole field. We kill it, draw a ton of cards. So if we want to attack in with anything, now is the only time that we can. But I don't think we have good attacks against the 10-6. Because all of our creatures have to block this, we also don't get to block these 2, so we take 5 guaranteed next turn. Maybe now's a good time to play Petitioner, because we're going to gain more life now than we could really ever in the future. We're going to have a ton of cards in our grave, so maybe we play Chimera and Petitioner just to draw more cards, gain more life that way. Maybe not, though. Maybe just Petitioner. I think it's just Petitioner here. Because we could double spell Chimera and something else, because we're going to draw a ton of cards. We definitely don't play the 6-7. Actually, maybe we do, because it only has 10 power. It's too late now. So 10 power, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They actually can't kill our whole field. So we draw a card off of every single thing that we block with. So we draw 6 cards, and they don't even kill everything. They just kill most of it. And we're at 19 now, thanks to Setessan and Petitioner. Maybe they don't even attack with the boar, they just use it to block things with 6 toughness. I don't think I actually like that, though. I'm not a fan of a big old 6 toughness blocker just slowing me down here. That being said, we're still just sitting pretty under a Nexus Wardens, but this Metamized Prophecy combo to keep scrying and drawing is going to definitely give our opponent the card advantage if we just keep sitting here. If they don't have any counter spells in their deck, we could end up just getting a lethal Klothys' design off the top. Yeah, I'm actually cool just spamming the field with more stuff here, because they can't kill our whole field with this boar. Especially with a Colossus being 7 of the 10 damage. And Colossus can actually attack into it, which is good. So Colossus is pretty great here. If we draw a design, we're living the dream if they don't have a counter spell. Everything gets +10/+10. Come on, let's do it. Please don't have a counter spell. Now they just say Banishing Light again because they know they can loop that next turn. With Metamized Prophecy, you have to choose the card that you're playing next turn, which is really flavorful, really cool. It's not even choosing the card that you're going to play this turn. You're saying, this is what's coming up in the future. Eidolon of Philosophy it is. They don't want to replay a Banishing Light. Interesting. So they know that they've scryed an Eidolon on top, or they just have one in hand. They're going to play it now, replay it next turn. Or they could even just have one in hand, choose not to play it now. They're down to 17 cards. Maybe this game goes to milling, in which case we die to the boar. But probably not. It's probably a Klothys' design game. Aw, one with the stars. The Colossus is no longer a creature, but it's still on our board. Let's go! No counters. No counters. Oh my god. Mono green, baby! Timmy's rejoice. I did it for you! Let's go. Is this really happening? Is this really happening? Oh my god. Fog. I don't even remember what the fog is in this set. I think the fog just stops non-enchantment creatures. They would survive with the fog. I don't have that many enchantment creatures. They can trump all the enchantment creatures. Alright. Maybe this was the best build. Klothys' design is putting in work. Mono Green Archon, get back in there. 4 wins. No matter what, we're 4-3 here, above average record. I'll take it. I'm sorry, no matter what, we're at least 4-3 here. Again, I misspeak on that pretty much every time. I just commit myself I'm like, all right, no matter what, we're 4-3. I'm scooping if I'm going to win the next game. I'm just going to concede. It has been spoken. All right, this has been a great draft. I don't care what happens now. This is a fun, fun, fun deck. I really hope that the Dungeons and Dragons set has a lot of pretty powerful monocolored stuff. Maybe some legends like Torbrin and the blue legend in Eldraine, stuff like that, so that every once in a while you can draft the monocolored deck in that format. I really like those kind of formats. Not where like drafting monocolor is always the thing, but every once in a while it just comes together. Like Throne of Eldraine felt like that to me, where it was rare that you'd end up monocolored, but sometimes you would, and it would be cool when you did. Theros, I think, is even less monocolored than Throne of Eldraine, but maybe I just don't have as much experience with it, because this deck seems sick because all of the devotion cards and stuff like that. Nessian Wanderer will start things off for our opponent. 3 toughness is not a fun time for us, if I'm going to be honest. Attack both, we get to sneak in 1 damage this way. If we just attacked one of these creatures, we probably just poke them for 1 anyway, because they probably don't want to trade Viper for Wanderer. Maybe they do. Maybe they have enough beefy creatures that they just want to get that off the board. I could play Wardens to be more defensive, gain more life, but Grove Dancer attacks into Wanderer fine. They only have 2 cards out so far. They do get a turn 3 play, most likely. This is going to be bad if they play a 2-3 or something. But if they don't put any more creatures on this board, this just gives us 2 more damage, which is probably better than Wanderer. Or Wardens. I'm getting mixed up. They have the Wanderer, I have the Wardens. Mono green! Mono green friend? Maybe. Probably not. They're probably just stuck on mana a little bit. Setessan Training here, I do really want to hit my 4th land, so I think it's worth just dropping down Setessan Training over playing a Nexus Wardens. Didn't hit the 4th land, but we hit another play for next turn. Nyx Herald will be pretty good here. Opponent is still... Nope, they are no longer stuck on mana. They are red-green, 4 mana available. Should be most of the cards in their deck available. Irosis' Blessing turns Wanderer into a 2-4, really bad for my 3-2. But Viper gets to keep getting in there. Actually, I get to play Nyx Herald and make Grave Dancer a 4-2 here so it can attack. Probably better to play Huntmaster, actually, because it costs more mana. Plus 3 here means that I get to attack with both still. Actually, no, maybe Nyx Herald would have been better, because it gives 1 more toughness, so Wanderer couldn't kill Grove Dancer. But I still think I'd rather they kill Grove Dancer with Wanderer than Viper. But I also like getting just another 4-power creature onto this board. Nyx Herald doesn't buff any of my other creatures, though, so... Playing this way, we really need to hit the 5th land, because Forerunner is a much better play next turn than Herald is. If we just played Herald, Herald was a really solid play that turn, and we'd know we'd have a Huntmaster to follow it up, which would have been a really good play. So I think that line was a little bit wrong. Probably should have played Herald first. But it all pans out in the end sometimes. Hit the Forerunner mana, which is very good for us. We're down to 8 now. We get to play Nyx Herald here, buffing the Forerunner. If we hit a 6th land, we get to cast both of these. They're at 8. They have a Warden of the Chained that does get the block, even if they don't control any other creatures, so they trade with Forerunner there, take 1. We are running out of cards. Manticore can kill Moss Viper with just its ability, unfortunately. Clithus' design is really cool. That would be a way to win this game, especially because our whole field gets trample. What is the best play into that? Probably Nyx Herald and don't attack if I'm really focused in on that. But I kind of think I still want to attack with Moss Viper, because I don't think they block it. Dreamstalker Manticore is very likely to be able to just shoot Viper on our turn anyway. If I attack with Forerunner, I get in for 2 damage and kill Warden. I think that's much more likely than killing the Manticore, because the Manticore gets to kill our Moss Viper. So I don't think that attacking with Forerunner is worth it when we have Design in our hand, and Design would very likely be lethal because of Trample. Of course, we do need to draw another land to do this. And if they're holding an instant for Manticore, they get to kill Viper before it resolves. Ooh, that's real rough. Kill Nyx Herald and not even lose a creature. Definitely not trading there. That seems like a pretty aggressive attack to me. I guess they know I don't have great attacks here. They can actually block with both, only lose one creature. I do have the Design. The Design gives me a 3/3 Death Touch Trample and a 7 power just regular trample. So you just double block the regular trample, take 3, only lose 1 creature. That is not going to get there. We got to play Nexus Wardens. Hope to go wide with that. Actually, probably should have still attacked with Moss Viper. The Chimera. I really hope they get very aggressive with their attacks here. But they might even just not attack. Wow. Now that's awful for me because Moss Viper just kills Chimera, which is very bad right now. They have 3 cards in grave. Killing Chimera is terrible. Just pass. They have 11 toughness out. We have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 power. Not quite lethal. I guess Death Touch Trample could maybe get there. Depends on what we draw here. Ooh, Binding of Titans is going to gain them more life. Real rough there. Ooh. Voracious Typhon's beautiful here. Add 2 more to our Devotion and 4 more to our Power. That will make Klothys' Design lethal if they don't have an instant speed removal spell. Even if they gain some life here, I'm pretty sure. 9, 10, 11. 11 plus 20. 31 minus 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 31 minus 11. So we just do 20 damage to them because of Trample. If they have instant speed removal for Forerunner, we lose. Ooh, this is still lethal. That's just 4 more toughness. Klothys' Design, get in. Forerunner plus Design is such a sick combo. Trample with all this power. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 toughness. Yeah, we have too much power. Even with the additional 4 they just got that turn and the life gain they had. Wow. Oh my god. I think for this this video's thumbnail, I might just have Nylia's Forerunner in the center and 2 Klothys' Design on the sides. Nah, we gotta show off the most commonly seen as quote-unquote cool cards in the deck. We have to have Nylia in the thumbnail, even though she has basically never come up yet. We played her once, but I don't think she did anything. But that would be like, that would be the best thumbnail for just what represents this deck, is just the Klothys' Design. So 5-0 now, having just an absolutely wonderful time with mono green. All right, another great curve here. Grove Dancer into Nyx Herald is always fun. Turn 2, you play a 2/2, and turn 3, you get to attack with it as a 3/3. Always pretty great. And this curve is looking really sick. Whenever we hit those lands, if we hit them on curve, Grove Dancer into Herald, into Huntmaster, into Forerunner. Of course, they are on green-black. We don't know what they could have. They could always have a really nice start as well to just kind of stop our chicanery. Let me see if I have it set to... okay, I do. Well, I don't think they'll have an instant here. If they don't, then this is definitely the best play. Sorry, I just had to Google chicanery because I was 99% sure I'm using it wrong. I just like the sound of that word a lot. And yes, I'm using it very incorrectly. Alright, so Nyx Herald does give Trample, so we can give Trample to Grove Dancer and buff it up with Huntmaster. That seems like our best play. Yeah, because it'll have 3 toughness from Herald. They can't kill it unless they block with Renata, and Renata's definitely a better creature than Grove Dancer. So that's just a profitable trade for us. Alright, so they just take 6 to the face. Seems fair to me. Hateful Eidolon. Sure, we're at 5 mana now. If I play Forerunner, that does lead us into a design pretty well, but we don't even know if we have one. We need to hit a land and a design, and we can't draw 2 cards in one turn and still have all our mana up. I guess we can with Cetessan Training. So we know that we're not casting design next turn. That's just an impossibility right now. So because of that, I'm thinking maybe Chimera Training here. Try to set up some draws. Trample does give us some decent attacks. We make that a 3/3. It trades there, or if they double block trades with 1, Huntmaster kills something. Yeah, we kill like something with each block. I don't know, I do really want to draw cards here, though. I could make Huntmaster 4 toughness. They have to double block it. They double block Eidolon Grove Dancer. So training on it makes it so I can make it 4 toughness. 3 toughness does already force them into bad blocks if they want to block something. Nah, I think I'm going to go Chimera. Because if we are planning on just sending in a lot of attacks here, trading with a lot of creatures, having an escape card is going to be good. Training on Huntmaster, instant speed removal would be bad for me, but other than that, this is pretty nice. Alright. And I definitely didn't need to play Chimera main phase. Maybe pumping Grove Dancer would have been a better attack here. They have to double block, I kill both, unless they have a trick. Alright, I kill both, my field's definitely wider than theirs. Yeah, even 5 power would have killed both of those, so the only way they could have killed it and only lost 1 creature is if they also blocked with Renata. I think I should have pumped Grove Dancer there, but we are Klothys' design.deck, so we might just get there anyway. 11. They have 11 toughness. We don't have trample right now, but we can give trample to one thing with Nyx Herald. I don't know if design gets there. Design makes it so if they let the weakest creature through, they take 5 there. This would be 6 because I'll buff it. They just block that, they block that. Yeah, they don't just die. So we play Forerunner and set up for it next turn. No attacks here, we're not attacking into the Colossus. So if I cast Design this turn, Renata's so good. 13 plus 3, 16 toughness. We will have 16 from Klothys' design, 4 times 4. So we just need to add up the power of our creatures, and if that's 12, we win. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, yep. If they have an instant, we lose. If they don't, we win. And that looks like no instant to me. They block 8 damage there, take 1. They block... Oh no, maybe there is an instant. They're going for blocks. That's 12 damage to them already. Oh. Alright. They were just doing the best blocks that they could. That design has been just busting. Just busting heads. That sounded very bad. I meant to say exploding faces or whatever. You know, where it explodes the avatar. We'll just come back to that later. Alright, 6 wins and no losses. No, 6 wins and no losses. Let me reiterate. Let me figure out how to speak again. Let me reiterate. Mono green childhood drafting strategies. .deck. I'm having a blast. This deck is fun. Play dudes. Play bomby sorceries to overrun your opponent. Smash faces. We are playing against Mana Burn, so another old school player. Old school strategy. Mana Burn, if anybody out there has only played Arena, you will never have experienced Mana Burn in your life. When you tapped mana in the past, if you tapped excess mana, like if you tapped 6 mana and then you only played a 5 mana spell, you would take damage equal to all your unspent mana if you miscounted or something. Oh, they're stuck on 2 mana here? Maybe, Mono Green Dot deck gets a 7-0 here. Kind of a free win if they get stuck on these 2 lands all game, but we'll see. Hopefully not. I would love to win this game, but I'd also love to win this game with them casting a lot of spells. I'd love to win this as a fair game. Omen of the Dead. Pick up the land pad so they have a play again next turn, get a nice blocker, even if they don't hit a land. Cling to Dust to exile our creature. Just gain 3, make sure it doesn't do anything later. Elspeth's Nightmare. Alright. Opponent's doing a lot of stuff and we're hitting a lot of lands, so I'm a little scared here. But we have a threat on our board if nothing else. Which, you know, currently is nothing else. And they know. They know our secret. They know that we're lost in the woods right now. So definitely polar opposite situations on the board. I've said this before, and I've said it many times, I would much rather be mana screwed than mana flooded. So I'm actually a little worried here. Because if you're mana screwed, eventually, theoretically, you'll get out of it and you'll cast everything that's in your hand. But if you're mana flooded, you're never going to get those cards back. Like, if you draw 12 lands in a game, you're not going to cast as many cards as the opponent who was mana screwed on turn 3, but ended up drawing 6 lands all game, you know? Because then they just drew more non-land cards than you over the course of the game. So, we just attack into that with Typhon, right? We're not doing design for 3 here. That's a solid possible game ender, though. I'm going to hold on to these forests because black does have an enchantment that makes you discard 2 cards. So if they force me to discard 2, I'll just discard these 2 forests. Alright, they're on green-black. They've hit their second color. See, this is where I'm worried now. Now we are at the disadvantage because it's very likely they can cast anything in their hand at this point. 4 mana, 2 colors. Most of the cards, at least. We still have the pressure on the board. We've got the biggest creature. How many cards do you have to escape for this? 5 cards. It seems like a lot, but I guess this card is just a really solid anti-escape card. Discordant Piper, they could double block our Typhon now. When this dies, they get a 0/1. Can sacrifice it to the Lampet as well. Get a token out of it, so they could chump block, sack it, get some value that way as well. Actually does seem pretty solid. So test and training to make that a 4-power creature to just trade to Typhon. And then Cling to Dust, because they've got 2 cards engraved, they'll have more later. Nylea puts us at 4 devotion. Not enough to attack with Nylea, but still solid. It makes our creatures cheaper as well. Do I just cast Nylea and pass? I think I do, because I do really want to hit the 5 devotion for her. 3 mana to use her ability. I think I still play around the discard spell then. Because even if I play a land, I don't use the ability immediately. 5 mana for our opponent now. So it has definitely turned into a fair game. They have stabilized and we're in very similar situations. Exile our 4/4 escape card. This deck is very good against escape, that is for sure. No blocks here, we'll just take 4, try to gain life throughout this game to maybe get back into it. Well, we're gonna have to just use Nylea's ability. Try to gas it up with a bunch of creatures. Hey, Loathsome Chimera only costs 2 here. And we can play a land and still play around the discard spell. Chimera can trade for Lampet. I don't really like that, but Nylea is going to draw us a lot of cards throughout this game because we have a lot of creatures in our deck, so we can try to just outvalue our opponent by spamming Nylea's ability rather than trying to get enough devotion to attack and block with her immediately. They're at 13, though, so it doesn't take a ton of devotion to get Klothys' design to lethal. They still attack here. I guess they get the favor back in their grave to throw on something else. They could have like the +3/+3 pump spell. Just eat the Chimera for that. We have no cards in our grave to escape this thing. But it doesn't attack into Piper either unless I cast Design. Design isn't going to do it for me unless I hit enough Devotion that Nylea is attacking and blocking as well. But I guess, yeah, 18 life. It could do it for me eventually. Go down to 14 here. Chainweb Arachnir. Fortunately does not hit non-flyers. So it will not hit Chimera right now. Oh, 1 mana off from that. Dang! My opponent's probably not even playing the discard 2 spell, and playing around that may cost me a lot here, but Brawler is going to be really good coming up. Could use this again in case I hit a 1 mana creature. That's probably... Or, I'm sorry, a 2 mana creature or a 1 mana creature. Moss Viper or one of my 2/2s. Probably worth it. Tessin Training. We do draw a card off of that and give Trample. It adds to the Devotion, but Brawler's double green. 5, 6, 7. We have enough mana to play Brawler and Training. We don't have enough mana to play Brawler and another creature. We could play Brawler and draw a card off Nylea, but we can just play Brawler, draw a card off Training. That seems fine. We also gain life off of Wardens by doing that. Opponent's scrying 2 here with Omen of the Dead. They know we have the Brawler coming up. That is really awkward. They scry both to the bottom. They've got 1 card in hand and 1 escape card in grave. Whatever's in their hand is almost definitely not a land, because they were stuck on land for a while in the early game. So 2 cards here. 1 could be a land at this point, because they did just top deck. So they could be holding onto 1 now. I go down to 10 here, gain 2 off of Training. I think I'm still good to do that. Still shooting for the Klothys' Design to end the game soon. Relentless Pursuit, a big draw spell. Draws the Boar! 3rd Boar! Nessian Boar, let's go. Always the Nessian Boar. Ooh. I'm gonna run up against a lot of these today. They don't have the mana to cast it this turn, though. So I could even get lethal with Design before they can cast that. That could be cool. Okay, so play the Brawler. We don't want to kill Arachnir because they can escape it as a 4/5. They could also just kill it with the Lampad. So this will be a 4/4. So I think we play it and kill Piper. And then we play our Training, gain some life, draw another card. Nylea gets to attack now. 4 mana up. They have a Cling to Dust available because of their escape cards, but there's nothing in my grave, so it doesn't really do anything. 3 mana up for an instant. I can't see anything making Training on Nylea bad here, because Nylea definitely gets in for damage with the Training, and we gain life off of the Wardens. Design is definitely lethal next turn. Draw a Horn Beetle to cast it pre-combat, get a counter on it. What a beautiful draw. Oh my god. Best possible draw off of Setessan Training, easily. I could attack with both, but then they just kill Chimera and take pretty much just as much damage. Seems not worth it. So we put them down to 8 here, then we cast a Design. Any single one of our creatures will be lethal. All of our creatures will be +7/+7. If they just tap out for like the Boar here, I think we've got it, and that might be the only thing they have to cast right now. Tap out for Boar, they have the mana to scry with Omen of the Hunt. They could gain 3 life off of Lampad, but sacrificing creatures reduces the amount of toughness they have against Trample. Our whole field doesn't have Trample here, so Design won't be Trample. So Design will be +8/+8. So if they go block all of our non-trample stuff. No, that's just lethal, because they can block all, they have no cards in hand, so that's just lethal. No cards in hand, this just gets it. They block all of our non-trample stuff, gain life, but then they just die to like Nylea. Design is mega lethal. Klothys' Design. Absolute MVP today. Obviously, the more green your deck is, the stronger this card is, and mono green Timmy's Rejoice played dudes and attack. Mono green big stuff wins the day at 7 wins and not a single loss. That was a really fun deck. I got pretty excited at multiple times there, so I apologize if the the audio balancing wasn't great, and I went from really quiet to really loud a couple times. But that was just a really exciting, really great draft. Mono green Archon, the deck, 7 wins, no losses, absolutely fantastic, super fun draft. Well, thank you all so much for watching. As you know at this point, if you've watched my other content, if you want to see more of that, all you got to do is stick around, like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more of the stuff. And yeah, as always, I will be back again with some more Magic Arena very soon. Generally daily, but I don't really want to make that promise anymore because I do have internet issues and life issues on occasion. But basically, I'll see you tomorrow. We'll see. Probably. Thank you very much for watching. That was a sick draft, and I am ready to draft Theros at least a couple more times before the rotation this Friday. So I will see you all next time.